Hi, this is Dr. Pola Rosen, publisher of Education Update, and I'm honored to be here today with the president of the Intrepid Air and Space Museum. Did I leave out one word?
Sea, Air, and Space.
Sea, Air, and Space. How could I leave out sea? And it's pretty murky out there today. With President Susan Marenoff-Zausner. And may I call you Susan?
Please do.
Thank you. What a fabulous place this is, and not just for tourists, but for kids and for adults who want to be educated about the sea and the air and the space and the history of our nation and certainly of our city. So, Susan, can you tell us something about the mission of the museum?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, first of all, we're defined as a 501c3 not-for-profit whose core is education. And so everything that we do here at the museum, and we are truly multifaceted, revolves around what we do to give back to our youth. So we have over 800 education programs per year. We work with K through 12 students who both come on site and we deliver programs off site, and I can speak about that a little bit as well. But our focus is STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, history, and leadership. And one of the gifts that we feel we've been given and the platform that we work from every day is the fact that we have artifacts, we have stuff, we have an aircraft carrier inherently that makes it so exciting to learn about these things. So one might think, well, what does that mean as far as the science, technology, engineering, and math? But when you think about, and I always use this as a little bit of an analogy, but when you think about learning about velocity, for instance, in school, you might yawn a little bit. But if you think about a baseball pitch, all of a sudden it gets a little more exciting. Well, we're a big baseball pitch. So we have, the ship where we can talk about catapults, or we have space elements. We can talk about thrust. We have so many different kinds of exciting artifacts that are hands-on and real that it just makes it all the more applicable and therefore exciting for our youth. So we do our focus K through 12 following the guidelines of the Department of Education of New York City and also the U.S. Department of Education. And then separate and different, we have a whole set of access programs, and something that we have focused on since we had a renovation and reopened in 2008. And those include such categories as programming for the blind and the partially sighted, for the deaf and for the hard of hearing. And we're very proud to say that we deliver programs for families on the autism spectrum. And now we also began delivering last fall programs for families with dementia. And so categorically, we're trying to chip away as much as we can so we can open our programs and our educational efforts to as many, I'll call it segments or markets as possible. So that's just one part of what we do. We also have leadership programs, and we try to focus on the underserved, and we bring in underserved for speaker programs or for programs that help to facilitate entry into university, into college, or into advanced learning. And so there is just a whole host of what goes on within these steel walls to try to further education for our youth.
Unbelievable. You're reminding me of something that the American Museum of Natural History just began doing recently, and that is giving out degrees. They actually have a degree program, and maybe you would consider giving out degrees because you certainly have the facilities here. And I was really blown away by the fact that students can go inside they'll be able to go inside the shuttle.
They'll be not inside the shuttle. They can go inside what will be the pavilion experience. So we did have a wonderful pavilion and an experience that was built, and unfortunately Hurricane Sandy took that down. But once we re-erect that, which will be this spring, they'll be able to get close up and personal, literally walk underneath it, walk around it, and then experience exhibits that will educate on space history, on shuttle history overall, and then particularly on Enterprise history, as we have the prototype Enterprise on our flight deck.
Right. So, but they can go into the submarine.
They can go into the submarine.
That is amazing. I've never been in a submarine. Have you, Mohammed and Erica, been in a submarine? They are monitoring our cameras right now. But what an interesting experience that is for young people.
It's very exciting. And that's what I mean. We have all of the artifacts here that you are literally up close and touching and learning about, and also comparing technology from the 1940s. Now, we were known, or the Intrepid, as a USS Intrepid, as a ship, was known to be one of the most advanced technological pieces at that time in 1943, and it had to keep up with technology as it changed from a wooden flight deck, for instance, into the jet age, into a steel flight deck, and into an angled flight deck. But still, to be able to fly planes and land planes off of a runway, essentially, that's 900 feet long, it takes a lot of different types of sciences and a lot of types of math. And so, again, everything that we do here is applicable to who we are, but it is extremely 100% relevant to the studies that are now so important to our youth in America.
Absolutely. STEM is on the forefront, and everybody's talking about STEM. So certainly this is a tremendous addition. How many people do you get visiting each year?
We get about 1 million people each year. As a matter of fact, this is going
Only
to be
1 million?
Well, it's. I will say we opened the shuttle in July, and with the shuttle, our attendance had increased about 40%. And while we're on a little bit of a break from that because of the hurricane, once we reopen, we expect that to happen again, and we expect to be well over 1 million by the end of next year.
What is your 5-year goal? Do you have a goal?
Well, interesting that you had mentioned before about degree programs. You kind of gave me chills because as I'll speak about it within the education scope, so much about what we're looking to do over the course of the next few years is to become that much more serious about, well, what is it? How are we not only educating our youth, but how is that sustaining? How is that staying within them? And what research can we do to make sure that we've had an impact, not just for the moment, but in perpetuity and towards their ultimate goals as students. So that's something that I need to understand better as the years go on. And we have brought on an amazing team of people to actually understand and do just that. And maybe someday there'll be a degree program that we'll have here, as you mentioned.
That sounds wonderful. Well, we look forward to coming back and having a full-length interview with you and the education program. And I know you have Dr. Nicole Vartanian on board now, but it's just a fabulous place to visit. I definitely want to come back. Can I come as a student,
Please
as
come
a
back.
participant, as an anything?
Open invitation.
Thank you so much. Hi, we are now still here at the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum with Dr. Nicole Vartanian, the Vice President of Education. She'll be telling us some of the wonderful programs that are here now and exciting ones that are to come. So, Nicole, could you please tell us something about what's happening here at the Intrepid?
There's so much happening here at the Intrepid, and we're just so pleased to have education update here, in particular to sort of shine a spotlight on the incredible education programming that the Intrepid offers. We really are committed to students experiencing STEM through artifacts. And when you think that we have a submarine and a Concorde aircraft and the space shuttle, in addition to the incredible wealth of opportunities that come from being on a naval aircraft carrier, really the possibilities truly are endless. And we're really trying to think constantly about ways to keep our programming and our curriculum current, connected to New York City Department of Education goals and outcomes, and make this sort of a living learning experience for students, both on the ship and in their own classrooms and in their communities. We're really trying to put a focus on beefing up our offerings in terms of technology, looking at social media, working with our website in more nimble and innovative ways. I keep saying how limitless the possibilities really are here. And in the short time that I've been in my new role, I am constantly energized by the incredible dedication of our museum education team. Each person is so well versed in all STEM areas in history and social studies, and so committed to making these areas of study come alive for students. So we're really so excited for the new year to begin and to start delivering our programs anew and thinking about new ways that we can engage students and teachers in the incredible offerings of the museum.
Do you have online learning available, or will it be available?
We'll be doing much more in that regard. We have some of our materials that are available through the website, but we really are seeking to make the website an extension of what we do in person. And that is actually a commitment, I think, museum-wide in terms of giving our public that virtual access to our offerings. And education is clearly really the pathway, I think, into the museum's offerings. So we're brainstorming a lot about how we want to do that, certainly keeping in mind the idea that we don't want the student or teacher experience to be just sort of a one-off. We certainly know that in order to have the greatest impact in terms of our content and our curriculum, we need to be working with them before they come to the ship, certainly through their experience, making it as vibrant as possible while they're here, but continuing in that conversation after they leave. So it's actually a seamless learning experience that we think ultimately will be able to demonstrate some really great impact and dividends on learning.
Now, you have an outreach team that goes into schools at times.
So,
do you still have that?
Right. So we have a program called Intrepid Sales, which is the name for our outreach into K through 12 classrooms. Again, that may take the form of a pre-visit experience so that our museum educators can go in and prepare students and teachers for the kinds of learning activities they will be experiencing on the ship. We currently are using Intrepid Sales also as a way of staying engaged with our schools while the museum is unfortunately closed during Hurricane Sandy renovations. And that's just been extraordinary to get into classrooms where we haven't reached students before, and to get them excited about thinking with their teachers and with their schools about what it would mean to then come to the Intrepid. So we didn't want to lose momentum during this period of renovation.
And you're doing a great job.
And it's so I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking about it, because we were in a 7th grade classroom last week at St. Hope Leadership Academy, a wonderful charter school in Central Harlem, and one of our museum educators led a fabulous lesson on signal codes. And so getting the students to think about what communication meant on the ship, what those challenges were, and tying that to communication challenges during Hurricane Sandy, and then explaining what signal flags were, having some artifacts with us to be able to make that real, and then leaving the students, coaching the students in terms of creating their own codes that their classmates then had to try to break.
Oh, that's fun.
It was fabulous,
That's
and
terrific.
they couldn't stop, they couldn't stop themselves from wanting us to see every single code that they had crafted.
I
It
have
was
2
fabulous.
quick questions. One is, do you have a video or a movie that is shown to the children before they come here?
We have a variety of materials. In fact, we are starting to develop more in terms of from our tour guide experience too, for whether it's for students or for groups that are coming, to give people sort of a taste of what's available on board. It happens to be something, quite honestly, that given the unfortunate circumstances of the museum closure, it actually got us thinking and acting on these ideas about creating more video content out of necessity, but that we certainly wanted to do anyway. And so, again, making the best use we can of this closure time has included developing content that will be really valuable for students and groups coming to the ship.
That's terrific. And my other question is, I can see an Intrepid video game. Can you see that? Would that be fabulous? An Intrepid video game? Kids are all playing the Intrepid?
Oh my gosh, I'm
over
adding that to the wish list. So we'll work on that. You're coming up with great ideas for us today, Paula. I love it. You have to come back often, please.
It is great to be here, and we plan to come back often. And thank you so much for spending this time with us.
It's our pleasure. Thank you so much.